Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the sound test room. Today, or should I say this evening, we are taking a look at recording audio into Cubasis. We'll do it with Cubasis 2 and Cubasis 3. This will be a beginner-friendly tutorial because some people asked some questions. They said they were having a few issues here and there. So we shall see what's going on. So let me get on my live stream feed so I can interact with the chat. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask them as the stream goes on. So Colin's here. Hi, Colin. Russ is here. Marcus is here. Wall's here. Hi, Wall. Stephen Rimmer, Andrew, Hozza's here. And Sai's here. Okay, so... Oh, and Paul, the musician, is here. Hello, Paul. Okay, so this is really, really basic stuff. I'm not going to get involved in complex arrangements and all the rest of it. I really just want to... So I don't suppose the live stream will go on for that long this evening, unless you want to have a chat. Okay, so... All right, anyway. Sorry, I just got a message pop up. Right, so, okay. Firstly, you're going to need a couple of things. Okay, here's what you're going to need. I'll shoot this. You're going to want one of these. This is an Apple CCK3 USB, a lightning connector. Has a USB there, and then you can charge your iPad there. I really seriously recommend getting the Apple version and not the cheap generic ones. Then you're going to need an audio interface like this. So I'm going to use the audio fuse, but they're all the same. We're only going to be using one channel, but I'll explain about stereo as well, etc, etc. Okay, so what we want to do is plug your USB back into the back of your audio interface first. Okay, now this one plugs in, so it's powered up already. And then you want to plug the USB cable part that comes out the back of this into the camera connection kit like this. And then you want to plug the power cable for the iPad into the camera connection kit like this. And then the whole thing will just go into the iPad here as normal. And what's happened now is that the iPad should read the audio fuse as the audio interface or anything else that you've got plugged into set if it was like a Focusrite. Now you can't use more than one audio interface at a time. It just does not work. You only need one audio interface. Okay, this one happens to have lots of ins and outs. It doesn't matter if it's a 1 or 2 input one. The process is going to be exactly the same. First thing to do, okay, is press add here, add, and then audio. Now you've added an audio track. Then we can open this little thing here where we can see the routing, insert effects, send effects, automation, notepad, channel, and color. Then go to mixer like this, and you'll see, of course, there is nothing going in there because I haven't plugged anything into the audio interface. So that's the next thing to do. But what we can do is you'll see now that this has changed. This has now got 8 outputs. We're only going to use output 1 and 2. Okay, so that's fine. And that's what will default to on most audio interfaces, the first 2, and that's all you'll need. Okay, so don't worry about the others. Routing, you will see now that it says mono input. And if I tap this, we've got stereo input as well. And if I hit the 1, we have up to 8 inputs. We have up to 8 inputs on the audio fuse. If your audio interface only has 2 inputs, it will just have 2 highlighted. If it only has 1, it will have the 1. If it's got 4, it'll have 4 highlighted, etc, etc. That's just how it'll work. So we don't need nothing plugged into the headphone socket or anything. Everything now is going to be routed through the audio fuse or whatever audio interface you are using. The outputs at the back here are going into the mixer so that you can hear what's going on. But otherwise, if you were just in your studio at home, you might as well just plug in headphones to the front or to the front of your audio interface or wherever the headphone output is. Sorry. Okay, so first of all, we're just going to plug a guitar in. So I have my guitar, and there is its cable, and I'm going to plug it into input 1 on the audio interface. Okay, so input 1, like this. And the audio fuse recognizes that it thinks it's a line, okay, but it's actually an instrument. So what we want to do is hit instrument. Actually, no, it's a line. It's a line. If it was an instrument, it'd be like a synth, and then it would recognize it's a line, so it's guitar. So, but you might have a selection on yours, like on the Focusrite Scarlett, you can choose line or instrument. If it's a synth, choose instrument. If it's a line instrument like a guitar, choose line. So guitar going into input 1. And you will see here at routing, we have mono input 1. If it was 2 inputs there, or if I'd plug this into number 2, we'll do this, I'll show you as well. But for now, if you go to mixer and I strum my guitar, you will still see that we're seeing nothing there. So we have to hit this little blue, speaker icon. Sorry, just let me get rid of audio track 2, which I've just created. We can delete that. Hit this little speaker icon and that will turn blue. And now you're monitoring the input. See, and it's very quiet. So we want to be turning up our input gain on the actual audio interface. Okay, so you can hear that now. Now, you will see the pad is switched on here. I'm going to turn pad off. The pad just on the audio fuse just applies a reduction in input levels, basically. Now, the important thing to see here is that whatever we do with this fader, you'll see it reduces the volume of the guitar, but it does not reduce the input level. This input level now has absolutely nothing to do with Cubasis. Nothing. Okay, this is purely the input of your instrument. If your instrument is too hot, you turn it down via the instrument or the audio interface. There's nothing you can do inside Cubasis to fix this. Nothing. The important thing to remember is that you don't burn. So if I do this, if I record that now, all I'm going to do is record clipping. So we want our levels to be set via the interface or the guitar. And also a good tip at this point is to pick up your guitar and play it as loud as you're going to play it at the loudest point in your track. See, input's still too hot. Turn it down a bit. You can set all this without even hearing the guitar. If that goes red at the top there, you're going to clip. Turn it down a little bit. This is now you're monitoring the volume. So if you are recording something along with drums, you can mix. But it has nothing to do with the input level, okay? That is purely to do with this. This blue button has to be on to monitor. Okay, so, oh, and by the way, if Hozza's here, thanks, Hozza. It looks like the actual graphite trick in the nuts fixed it. It sounds a lot better than it did. Right, okay, so here we go. There are 2 things you have to do to arm record. If you just press this button here, which is record, it's going to track along. We didn't have that switched on, but it won't record nothing. It won't record anything at all, okay? So to record audio into Cubasis, you have to have this armed on the actual audio track, okay? Thanks, mate. You do have to keep your nuts lubed. So that has to be armed. This monitor has to be on, but the monitor doesn't actually have to be on. Sorry, the monitor has to be on regardless of whether you're recording or not if you want to hear your guitar. So now what we'll do is we will switch the metronome on, because the metronome will not record. We'll let it count in for a couple of bars. Stop record, and there is your audio now recorded into Cubasis. Now, let me put the guitar down a sec. You can see that that was a pretty good input level, okay? In a moment, I'll demonstrate a crappy input level and what you can do to fix it, but it's always best to try and get the input level pretty good, play as loud as you possibly can without it clipping, okay? So this is what we've got now. Now we don't need either the monitor on or the record for this. We can turn them both off and we're still going to have our track. So there you go. That's how you record your audio super basically into Cubasis 2. And it's the same if it was stereo. If it was a stereo instrument. Now what I'll do is I will take this out of input 1 and put it into input 2, and then I'll show you exactly the same procedure. We can mute this so we don't want to hear that again, and let's add audio. Okay, this time we're on audio 2. I'll change the color. We're on audio 2, and we want to go where it says mono input 1, where it says 1, tap the 1 and choose number 2. And now what we've got, we'll go to our mixer. We shall pick up, let's just do that. We shall pick up our guitar, and remember that we have to arm the monitoring. And now we have to set the levels for channel 2. So that so let me get rid of that. So that we're not clipping. Okay, and I'll change the actual, the pickup position. So that's pretty good. There's no clipping going on there or anything like that. But with this one, I'll make it so that the actual input signal is really crap. Now with digital audio, you'll get away with that these days. But in the old days, if you did that with tape, you'd end up with a noise floor, and even increasing the gain and stuff would just bring the noise level up as well. It's not so bad now. So let's turn the actual input levels down like this. Okay, so we've still got a measurable input there, but it's not brilliant. Doesn't matter. So we'll close that. Make sure that we arm the record on the track we want to record into. Make sure that we'll hit our metronome, so I've got something to count to. Hit record. Okay. And we can stop that. And you'll see there that we've got an absolutely crap waveform. So I mean it's too low, but you'll still hear it. And what you can, of course, you can apply effects now, EQ, etc., but you can do that before you actually record it. I'll show you that as well, but there you go. What we can do now to fix that, to save us re-recording it again, is we can normalize it from within Cubasis. So we want to double tap on the waveform, and you'll get options to trim, erase it, reverse it, normalize it. We'll normalize like this, and it will normalize. And then we can go to our mixer and make sure that we turn it down a little, because we don't want to be blowing our heads off. Now we've got a normalized file. And we've got both of them playing. Two completely different things. Anyway, so that's how you'd fix a file that's not absolutely brilliant. Okay, so Let's do one more. Okay, so let's delete these two. Let's do this from scratch so you're understanding. Let's change the input just for fun. Let's take this input and put it back into here. Let's turn that level down so it's not interfering with anything at all. Let's add audio. Open it so we can see it here. Routing will be normal. It will default to mono input 1. Okay, so mono input channel 1. We're fine. Mono input guitar channel 1 going in. Super duper. Let's get the guitar again. Let's get the guitar. But this time, let's apply some effects before we record. So monitor. Turn it up a little bit. Let's check the mix. So remembering that this is the input level, not the volume. Input level still there. It's not clipping, so it's going to be fine. This is the monitor level. You're going to hear that clip on the output. Right. Okay, so we can apply some effects now to this. Now remember, if you're going to apply EQ and you're going to boost the EQ, you're going to increase the output a little bit. So you want to be careful and check again that you're not going to be clipping when you're recording. So and then let's add the channel strip, which will boost it again. We can turn this down a little bit, I think. Let's check our mixer, and output's too hot, so we can turn this down a little bit, but we're still fine on the input. All right, now so we can add whatever we want. Now we could go and add some let's just quickly add something from somewhere. Let's add the Blue Man Goose stereo delay. This is cool. So let's record some of that. Make sure we arm our track here. Okay, so there is our recorded audio with our effect applied. So remember, we don't need to monitor the input now, and we don't need to monitor the record. We're not going to be recording again. So now there's the recording with the effect. However, you haven't actually recorded the effect, so that's a good thing. You've only recorded the input. So if we turn the effects off, you're just back to your recorded sound. Now you can adjust the levels. Now what you're doing with the mixing now is adjusting the level of the track. So now you want to be watching it, not clip actually in the mix. Okay, brilliant. What I would suggest at this point is, if you are absolutely happy with that and you've applied all the effects you want, because some of these effects are huge, huge. You know, they'll use a lot of CPU, is hit your freeze, and that will freeze that audio track. Now, Cubasis does a strange thing. It freezes everything in stereo. Okay, so all your mono tracks and everything, even if it's purely mono and it's a vocal, once you freeze it, it will freeze it in stereo. Ask me why. I'll answer you. I don't know why. I don't know why. It's a mystery to me. Right, okay, so Now what we can do is we can basically get rid of that or keep it, but all our CPU usage is now gone and we're just left with a clean audio track. So we can delete that one realistically, and we're just left with this clean stereo audio track. Okay, so that's basically it for Cubasis 2. All right, nothing else do you need to know. You need, like I said, you go back to the beginning to see what you actually need, but you do need an audio interface, of course, and you need your camera connection kit also as well. So that's for that one. So let's go and have a look at Cubasis 3, which is here. And Cubasis 3 again is pretty much the same thing, and now they've had the actual you know, it's updated and everything's been sorted out. It's all going to be cool beans. So what we're going to do is go to media, go boom. That's the working title of Joe's track, was boom. New project. Okay. And there is a new project. And we're going to do exactly the same thing as we did before. We're going to set up an audio track, and it will be exactly the same as it was before. Now remember, if you wanted a stereo instrument, if you had a like a stereo synth plugged in or whatever, you just plug one into it and select stereo. You can do this, I'll show you, but since we're not using stereo, you know what I mean. Anyway, same again, we shall add an audio track here, and there it is, and then we shall open this, and the routing system is the same thing. Routing, again, it defaults 1 mono, but if we look at this, we go to stereo, you'll see 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8. It's because this is has 8 outputs, but we're only using 1 and 2 outputs. Whatever it is, it'll have at least 1 or 2 outputs, so that's cool beans. But we're not recording stereo, okay? We are recording mono. So we need to go mono, and we're going to stick with channel 1, which is this input here, channel 1. And again, with this, we need to do exactly the same thing. We need to go to our mixer. Just let's check. We don't need to go to the mixer, but it's nice. Nothing there. Let's hit our record monitor, and we're back to where we were. Okay. Anything different for a... No, nothing at all. As long as you've got the output from this synth going into the input on the audio device. I can probably show you, actually, if I find if I know where the blinking the microfreak's over there. I could show you with the microfreak in a sec. Same thing. So there we go. We've got our level set. Happy with that. Not going to go any higher. Don't want to burn that out, you know what I mean, and get clipping when we record. So, and don't forget, we can always normalize. So err on the side of caution is probably better when you're doing your levels. And remember that this level at the moment has absolutely nothing to do with Cubasis. Nothing. This is, you're actually setting the level with your external instruments. Cool beans. You're only monitoring with this, not controlling the input level. That's important to know. Okay, so again with Cubasis 3, we need to arm record. So we need to, well, that's already pre-armed for us, but we'll arm this one. Okay, we can stop that now. Stop the, oh, sugar, where's my thing? Right, go, stop. And there's our audio track recorded. Now, let's just stop record. Stop there, and the strings are knackered on this as well. I've ordered some new strings, so hopefully that'll help as well. So let's put the guitar down. So that's how you record your guitar in Cubasis 3. It's exactly the same. It's exactly the same. And even if you're not really getting this, and I'm sure you are, which is the main difference of Cubasis 2 and 3 on iPad. well, you can do grouping with Cubasis 3. There's lots of actual audio engine improvements and stuff as well. There's a full list of mad stuff that they've improved. You can also do the scaling with the actual mixer, which is cool. You can have it extra large or you can go really small, which is handy. You can do, like I said, you can do mixer groups. Anyway, I don't want to get into that because I want to do the audio thing. Right, okay, so synthesizers or any other instruments, which is good actually because I can show you the instrument. We can even leave the guitar plugged in. Right, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to nip over and get the Micro Freak. And then untangle all the cables for the Micro Freak. Right, hello, back again. Right, so I have the Micro Freak here, there, and I'm gonna plug it in. So just bear with me a minute, guys. So let's pretend you've come to your studio, you're plugging in your Micro Freak or whatever synthesizer or whatever you're using, and we know that this is an instrument and not a line instrument like a guitar. So let's put that there. Let's get all our cables over there. Oops. Hang on a minute. Let's get me back there. And we're going to go into the back, and obviously everything's going everywhere now. Going to plug it in. I'm going to turn it on, and it's coming on. Look. And then we're going to get a cable. Get a cable from somewhere. I'll do it. Only need a short cable. And I'm going to go from the output of the Micro Freak, obviously, which would be this here. And I'm going to go onto the... Let's just put that in the corner there like this. And I'm going to go into input 2 this time. So you can leave the guitar plugged into input 1. And this time I'm going to, I'll mute this as well because I don't want to be hearing that while I'm messing with the Micro Freak. So this time I'm going to go add audio, and we're on audio track 2. I'm going to change the color as well so it's more obvious. Oh, and like this here. Right. So this is track 2. We're going to go routing, and this time we're going to go still with mono input because the Micro Freak is a mono synth, as most of them are. We're going to hit 1 and then 2 because we want input number 2. And this time we're going to hit monitor as well. Let's have a look at the mixer here. So at the moment, I've got to turn the volume up. And this is right now. This is where we start to get all the fun stuff. I need to be why am I registering? I'm plugged into my headphone socket. That's right. Right. So it's recognized it as a line. So I'm going to go instrument. So because this is an instrument, and you'll see the level's pretty good. So set the volume on your synth, you know, to whatever might be suitable. Let me see if I can get this in a position where you can actually see the actual volume for the synth. That's me playing with it. Right, so just put that there a sec. So the volume here is also an option. We can use the volume for this. But you see we've got our level there, and we go, well, that's a really good level. Happy with that. Not a problem. If we take monitoring off, we're not going to hear anything. Let's put monitoring on. And don't forget that this fader now has absolutely nothing to do with volume levels. I'm going to do this, guys, so you can see. This fader has absolutely nothing to do with volume levels of anything. It's just the actual... It's just monitoring the input. But you can see the input there doesn't change. So wherever you have this fader set won't make any difference at this point, recording it or anything. It's just really for monitoring purposes. Meaning that if you've got drums or other instruments playing, you can set the level to suit, but as long as you've got your input level correct, you'll be fine. And then afterwards, once it's recorded, then you can mix. Okay, so that's great. So we've got a sound there, so let's record that in. I don't know what even tempo it is. It doesn't really matter. We're not going to bother with the metronome. We'll just do a counting. So we've got it armed to record. We have our monitoring on. We'll do a counting, which is, I think, set to one bar on Cubasis 3 because I haven't reset it to 2. Put this on, do 1 bar counting, and then hit a key. Turn the metronome off because it's the wrong time signature. Okay, and now we can stop record. Stop, go back, and there is our recorded Arturia Micro Freak signal. Let's put this back a little bit now. So there is our recorded Arturia Micro Freak signal, which we can apply effects to now, post, obviously. But don't forget, we can apply effects pre. So if you're messing around with another patch, like that bass patch, and go, oh, what will that sound like? You can apply your effects previous. Don't worry about this. This is digital noise. You'll never hear it. It can't even hear it in the headphones. But your important one is you don't have it clipping up the top there. So I'll just have a swig because I'm thirsty now. So let's see. So that's how, well, okay guys, so that's how you do it. That's audio into, now in another video we can cover inter-app audio if you like, but not a lot of people are using that these days, so you know, here we go. It's quite a nice bass sound, isn't it? But that's how you do it. You literally, whatever your audio interface is, it doesn't matter. We'll have at least 1 or 2 inputs in, and all you've got to do is match them up to your audio interface. Again, let's do it one more time. Add. In fact, let's delete those because, you know, they're useless. Let's add audio, and depending if we want our guitar or our micro freak, we can choose 1 or 2. So for instance, again, let's go with 1 audio, open up our track, routing. It's going to default to 1. So let's just arm our monitoring. And there it is. And then we can go to our mix and we can set our levels before we start. Setting your levels has nothing to do with Cubasis. That's a kind of a key thing to remember with anything that you're recording into anything, really. Your external audio levels are set outside of the app. There's things you can do once it's recorded. There's things you can do to change the sound, like apply effects, or you could like say, oh, what will that sound like? What will that sound like with a reverb? It sounds like that, and you can record with that reverb on, although that reverb will not record with that audio data. That reverb will only be saved with audio data if you then freeze it in and embed it into that track. So it's flexible. It's dead flexible. So you can go, oh, okay, where's my insert effects? I'll put my channel strip on here. And have a look at that and go, oh, let's boost the gain a bit. But remember that all that has nothing to do with the input signal. The input signal has to be set via the instrument or the audio interface. That's one of the things to remember, that's all. So you've got a level for your guitar, and then we could do exactly the same again. Add audio. Routing, this time we'll go channel 2 for the freak, and then hit monitor. See, we'll hear nothing there until we hit this. But you can see it. Channel 2 on the actual audio fuse and on channel 1. Admittedly, some audio interfaces don't, but most of them have some sort of level indicator whether it be peak lights or other kind of monitoring system. But you can do it all from within Cubasis anyway. Or let's choose another sound here. So we've got this, so let's monitor. The patch from the microphone. And then, as I said, to record, you must have the arm. You don't need, once you've recorded a track, you don't need monitoring or record arm on. Monitoring is for monitoring audio coming in, which obviously you need if you're going to record, and then record arms to track, and then the major transport records the actual data. So you could have loads of inputs if you've got 3 or 4 people playing. Whatever's armed here is going to record. So like, so let's monitor this. So for instance, if I wanted to record both of those at the same time, say I was a band or a singer with an acoustic guitar or what have you, I could set this off to record now. Let's just start. Now I'm recording both tracks. So here's some guitar. Okay. Might could be the next hit. And you'll see that we've recorded both tracks simultaneously. This is why you have to have independent track arms, because Cubasis is a DAW and will want to record whatever it sees coming into it, like for instance multi-track audio. So if you're a band and you want to record, maybe you've got a great big massive audio interface, you know, with 8 channel inputs or something, or 16 channel inputs, you want to record a whole band in, arm each one. But to record the session total, you need to actually have the major transport bar record on. And that, guys, is all you need to know about recording audio into AUM. Into Cubasis 1, Cubasis 2 and Cubasis 3. I really hope that this might have solved some of the problems that you were having or something. But really, Cubasis is brilliant. It's a brilliant DAW. It's, once you get your head around how it works, it's easy peasy. And I know most people, I know a lot of people know how it already works, but some people don't, you know. And like I said yesterday, sometimes I forget, because I use them every day. You forget, like, how complicated and confusing it can feel right near the beginning of it, or, you know. So anyway, I really hope, well, I hope it helped you out, mate. I really do. It's you know, and the other guy, if he's watching, or he'll watch tomorrow. Oh, thanks, Dean. I hope it helped. Most of them, the thing with recording audio, I find, is get your input levels right. Make sure that when you're playing as loud as you possibly can. It's not so bad with keys, but with guitars, Colin will tell you, play as loud as you possibly can before that clips in your meter, and you'll get a really good signal in. But you can always normalize, but I think it's always best to try and get it right before. Don't forget, if you're going to boost EQ, that's going to increase the signal. So later you might want to be checking the clip levels. The last thing you want, guys, is digital clipping audio. It's dreadful. It doesn't sound good at all. Not like tape saturation used to sound relatively nice, you know, come quite warm. Digital clipping is just pants. Very pants indeed. Right, guys, I am going to leave you to it now. Well, there was no need. Thank you very much, mate. It's a pleasure. I really do genuinely hope that it's helped you out, and anyone else out for just starting off recording audio into Cubasis. Keys are well, you'll watch the video, and I do go over it several times, so hopefully it's helped. Yeah, top job, cool beans, epic bananas, and things like that. Anyway, folks, yeah, brilliant. I hope you're all. I hope you're all still doing okay. Can you show how to record AUM into Cubasis? Yeah, absolutely. I've done videos on recording AUM into Cubasis. Multiple tracks, man. Awesome. And Jacob did a good one the other day about exactly how to do that, but I could do one live if you want. It's not that it's not really that difficult. But I did do some videos on how to do that exactly and input record audio directly in. Okay, brilliant. All right. Guys, what am I? Do you know what? I don't even know what I'm having. Oh, Joe made these. She made real croquets, potato, chicken, and melted cheese. Oh my God, with breadcrumbs, with ordinary. Oh my God, they were good. They're really, really good. I don't know what I'm having tonight. Just kind of a mix and match. You know what I mean? Gotta go and see what there is. Potato croquet, yeah. Oh, it was lovely with chicken and oh, it was lush. It was lush. Rightio. So they were very lush. And Joe sounds like oh, she's awesome. Everything, Paul. That's only, but don't say anything. It goes to her head. You know what I mean? Right. Yeah. Oh, Paul, I forgot to phone you today. I was going to phone you, wasn't I? I'll try to do it tomorrow. She does spoil me, Stephen. You're right. She does. She does. Anyway, I hope you're all keeping well. I was going to phone you to... well, mind you, I did a couple of videos today. Nembrini Delay 3000. That was very nice as well. And also new app from Blue Man Group. Oh, it's... That softener, attack softener. That's brilliant. It's like slow gear. Makes me guitar. I made some like synthy pad sounds with my guitar. It was mega. You can check that video out. It's really good. Right, guys, I'm definitely gonna go. I'll let you say ta-ra to each other for a minute or so while I get off. I hope you find this. I hope I went slow enough, and I hope I did it so that everybody could understand what's going on. Doesn't matter what the audio interface is. It's all the same idea, basically. Anyway, I didn't see that. Oh, that is a good one. That is, you want to hear some of the sounds, man. I'm not kidding. They're really brilliant. Right, okay. See you guys later. Bye.